There are a lot of rumors coming out about Neymar's future at PSG right now. Fabrizio Romano has said he has not 100% told the club he wants to leave. However, Eli Kipe says that he has told the club that. So obviously we're trusting Fabrizio here. But when there is smoke, there is fire. So I seem to think that there is a little bit something going on here. Neymar looks likely to at some point in this transfer window leave PSG. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. G, what is your initial reaction to these rumors that Neymar reportedly wants to leave PSG?
Look, honestly, I'm not very surprised. I mean, I never really got a lot of the idea that Neymar truly likes it in Paris. I don't know if he truly likes his how his career has gone at Paris, and especially with his best friend Messi leaving, and now Mbappe looking to not ever going to play for Paris again. It just looks like it takes the whole point of of what he him as a player is meant to do, and that's to win. Neymar wants to win. That's it. It's as simple as it gets. A player at his level is demanded that he always win. And at Paris right now, you're not going to win, and he knows that. Everybody with eyeballs can know that. The fans know that. It's as simple as that. I don't really blame him, but now it opens up a bigger thing to who really wants Neymar. And unfortunately, how Neymar is right now at a point of his career, he's just you can't really rely on him just because he's just so brittle. He gets injured all the time. You can barely rely on a half a season from him. So it's like even if they sell him, who's gonna throw their hat in the ring to get Neymar? Because Neymar is not cheap. He's still a player that's going to be high wages. I don't think it'll be as high as of a transfer fee, but his wages will always be high. It's it's a bit of a weird situation to be at because everybody knows the class of Neymar, how good Neymar can be, and even in the preseason now, he's looked great, but there's always that cloud that hangs over him that it's just one poor tackle away and he's out for 10 to 12 weeks. That's as simple as that. I mean, it's unfortunate because we all know how good Neymar is. I mean, his career is kind of almost becoming underrated to a certain extent because of how high his expectations were, and just how he's kind of fell short. Hasn't won as many Ballon d'Ors as people thought he would,
Well, he
but it
hasn't won
doesn't
any.
change. He hasn't won any, obviously, but he has literally, he's still a class player. I don't want to get super long winded about it, but I'm not surprised that he wants to leave, and I think he should. I think Paris should be looking into it because he's not getting any younger. He's still in high wages as it is as at Paris.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just better for both parties that they just look to get this done.
Well, yeah, look, I agree. From Neymar's perspective, I think he should be looking to leave PSG. And from PSG's perspective, I think they should be looking to get rid of Neymar. So I think this would be mutually beneficial for both sides. I think for Neymar, truthfully, since he left Barcelona to join PSG, I don't think he ever should have done that in the first place. But the point is, he has never quite lived up to the expectations that were there for him. He was going to PSG to be his own star, to be the leader of the team, to take PSG to places that they've never been before, which would be winning the Champions League. Ultimately, they've fallen short. They brought Mbappe, who ultimately ended up being a better player. I mean, right now he's the top three player in the world. Neymar isn't a top three player in the world. Then you bring in Lionel Messi along there with them. So you have Mbappe, Messi, and Neymar, and you still can't win the Champions League. So Neymar has had the help, and ultimately they haven't been able to get over the line. And obviously that's not strictly on Neymar. That's so many other reasons for that. But the fact of the matter is, Neymar has been unable to accomplish winning the Champions League with PSG, something he was able to do with Barcelona, obviously winning the treble. So I think he regrets leaving Barca for PSG in the first place. I think it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. There has been so many rumors since he left in the first place that he wanted to go back to Barcelona, but it just never quite came to fruition. I remember a couple seasons ago that he was trying to get back to Barcelona and it never quite came to fruition because of the financial things. And signing Neymar is not an easy thing to do because of the fact, like you said, his high wages. And at that point in time, higher transfer fee. Right now, it's looking like the transfer fee wouldn't be that much, given the way the market is today. Every player is like 100 million. They're saying Neymar would likely be around 60 to 80 million for a player that is as good as Neymar on his day when fit. That's, about as good as you can get. I mean, you're taking that any day of the week. But like you said, the big problem here is for any club that wants to sign him, you're signing a player that on his day, we all know how good he is. I mean, I don't have to speak to how good Neymar is. I mean, we see it time and time again. We've seen it in the preseason. We saw it in the World Cup with Brazil. He was playing brilliant. He's a fantastic player on his day. But the fact of the matter is, you don't know how long you're actually going to get him at that peak because of the injury factor. You don't know how many matches he's actually going to play any given season. And it seems as if around that one period of the year, around his sister's birthday, he's always injured. I mean, it's like at a certain point, you just have to realize that you're not going to get Neymar healthy for the whole season. It's just not going to happen. So if you're willing to accept that going into it, then yeah, sure, sign Neymar. But no club wants to sign a player for that amount of money and not expect him to play a majority of their games. And with Neymar, that's the big issue here. It's very similar to Ousmane Dembele, where it's like, you know how good of a player he is on his day, but is he ever going to be on the pitch? Is he going to be on the pitch consistently? That's the big issue here. So that's why, from PSG's perspective, I can't really blame them for wanting to get out from under this big money contract and move forward with their, ideology of, bringing in young players. I mean, they've just brought in Goncalo Ramos. They're trying to bring in Kolo Muani. They're bringing in Ousmane Dembele, who I know I'm just talking about injuries, but he's a younger player, at least. They're trying to move towards the younger players and develop and, move out from these big stars like a Neymar and a Messi. So I totally understand from their perspective. I think that they should do it. And it just comes down to now, can they find a club that actually wants Neymar? Because like you said, that's the big issue here. Because any club that takes on Neymar is going to have to take on the contract, you have to pay the transfer fee, and then obviously have that risk of, we paid all this big money for a player that is fantastic, world class, no doubt about it, but is he going to play consistently? That's the big issue here. And I think obviously we have seen many different ideas for where Neymar could be going next. Obviously, we've heard a lot of rumors about the Saudi League, who's basically trying to sign everybody. We have MLS, who obviously is blowing up right now with the whole Messi deal. And then a couple clubs in Europe. Barcelona, of course, he's always going to be linked back there anytime he's rumored to leave. And then Chelsea, the club, my club. So let's go ahead and get you into that. Let's say Neymar, reportedly, he comes out and says, I'm leaving PSG. What club do you think is the most likely destination for Neymar if he does leave PSG?
I think the most likely one is just the Saudi Pro League, because one, they have infinite amount of money, they can make that work, and it's just as a player, as what Neymar kind of is. I think that's what he would probably do the most. I mean, he sees a lot of people are going there. I mean, it's a lot of money over there, and it's not like it's bad to live in Saudi. I'm sure there's very nice spots in Saudi for a person with his type of money.
Yeah.
So I think that's the one that makes the most sense right now, because as much as I'd love to see him in the Premier League, I mean, look, he might Chelsea or not, I don't really care. To see Neymar in the Prem, that would be something that would be a sight to see. That's must see. But I don't know if Chelsea, as crazy as they spend 600 million just to get 12th place, I don't even think this is crazy. This is a bit too crazy for them, because they're dealing with a bit of Nkunku. You get a player like that, and boom, they get injured. That's kind of the same. You're going to get a player this expensive, that much on how much of his wages, just for him to pick up a knock and he's out for 12 weeks. I mean, that's why I believe that Chelsea are willing to risk that, because they already have one player that is down right now, in Nkunku. Yeah. And I don't think Neymar is a good replacement. So, Nkunku, a little bit injury prone, let's just get Neymar. That doesn't really make sense. As much as a football fan would love to see Neymar in the Premier League, that doesn't make sense. Obviously, Barcelona, that's a joke. That's a joke. That I don't know who's reporting that, but that is the most bullshit ever. I think Laporta had a little stroke when he saw that report, because he knows they would never be able to swing that. Neymar's wages would probably they would probably sink Spotify. Spotify would go belly up. They would never be able to afford that. So
how many weddings are they gonna have to afford his?
How many weddings? There's not enough people in Spain they could give weddings out to for that. It's impossible. So that one's out. MLS, not a bad idea, but I just don't think it's realistic. I mean, I think Neymar would want to go to Inter Miami more than anybody. I mean, to play with Messi, but I don't think that's realistic.
Because the MLS money rules.
Because the MLS money rules are going to be like, okay, brother, come on, what the fuck are we doing here? But I think Saudi makes the most sense, because they have the money. They don't give a shit if Neymar plays one game a season. They're just like, guys, look, we have Neymar. We got Neymar and Ronaldo. So it's like, that's all they really care about. So to me, that from where it is right now, that makes the most sense.
But as a football fan, do you really want to see Neymar in the Saudi League?
Absolutely not, dude. Realistically, I mean, we've talked about it before. I kind of don't want to see anybody in the Saudi League. I would like to see a lot of these players still in Europe, but I respect, what Saudi's trying to do. They're trying to make themselves more, of a recognized league, of a top league. So these are moves you have to make. But as a football fan, obviously, I want to see him in the Premier League.
Okay, well, look, what is the most realistic destination for Neymar? Based on the options that are currently available, based on what we know from the rumors, I agree that it's either the Saudi League or MLS. And I'm going to go ahead and lean towards the Saudi League purely because of the fact they have unlimited money. It does not come down to the money. I think MLS is a very plausible destination. He's come out before saying that he wants to move to MLS at some point. But the thing about MLS is that the way that their money system works at MLS with the cap space and the rules in MLS is just very tricky, and I don't know exactly what they would do. Obviously, they were Inter Miami was able to bring in Messi, so I think that they would kind of have to do a similar type of deal with Neymar to actually make it work. And I don't know. Look, Neymar is a brilliant player, world class, and he's obviously a global superstar, but he's not on the level of Messi. He's a little bit under that. So are they going to be willing to make the same type of deal, potentially give up Apple TV sponsorship, subscription money? Are they able to do that with Neymar? I don't think they're going to do that just after getting Messi. I understand MLS wants to capitalize and really take advantage, and bringing in Neymar just a couple months after bringing in Messi, that would be a statement. That would be a one hell of a statement. But I just don't know if MLS is actually going to do that purely because of the fact, there's only so much Apple TV subscription money that you can give out. They're giving it all to Messi right now. They can't give it to Neymar as well. And obviously, there was also a couple other deals in that Messi contract that I just don't think they can do that once again for Neymar. Whereas Saudi, they can give the money. They have unlimited money. They're printing the money right now. They've already set aside, what was it, like was it 10 billion for transfer? It's some ridiculous amount. It's like Saudi basically just has unlimited money.
10 billion, yeah.
I don't even know how much money it is, but they might as well be 10 billion. That's how much money they have set aside for transfers like Neymar. And after missing out on Messi, Al Hilal is reportedly the club that wants to sign Neymar. It just makes perfect sense. Al Hilal, I think, is the biggest club in Saudi. And obviously, Ronaldo and Mane both at Al Nassr. When you look at Al Hilal right now, they don't quite have that true superstar. They have some good players, but they don't have that true big name superstar. They were able to get a Neymar. That's their guy. And obviously, I think Al Hilal is technically the best club. I think they're the most.
They're actually the best team. Yeah.
Yeah, but they don't have that big name like Cristiano Ronaldo, Sadio Mane. They're just a well balanced team. So you add a Neymar into that, they would easily be the best team in the Saudi league, assuming he's fit, of course, which is the always question that goes on with Neymar. Yeah. But look, I think those two are the most likely options because of the fact Barcelona, I just don't think it's a plausible option. If they're even able to afford the transfer fee, which would be like 60 to 80 million, and I don't think they have that because if they had that, they would have gotten Bernardo Silva. Exactly. I don't think they could get Neymar because of the fact the wages and all of that. The financial situation is just not right. And then on top of that, even if they could afford it, Xavi doesn't want him. I don't quite understand it, but Xavi has come out reportedly and said he doesn't want Neymar. Laporta says he dreams of bringing Neymar back to the club. I understand that from his perspective because, you can kind of feel that there's a little bit of unfinished business there, because he went to PSG after accomplishing what he did at Barca. He never quite lived up to the same, expectations, the same level of hype. If he goes back to Barcelona, is able to bring them success again, you kind of, okay, that closes the door. I kind of get the sense there's a little bit of unfinished business, but that doesn't mean it's actually going to happen because they have tried to make this happen before and it hasn't happened. So I don't think Barcelona is a realistic option. It's not going to happen. It's just Barca fans over here dreaming. You know what I mean? Dreaming is free. That is why we have to dream. That's Barca fans right now. And then the other option would be Chelsea. And, truthfully, as a Chelsea fan, I would love to see it happen, honestly, just because of the fact, it's Neymar. We're talking about one of the best players in the world on his day. Who wouldn't want to have Neymar at their club? But when I take a step back and think about it realistically, we would be getting another injury-prone player into the club. And Chelsea, to me, after seeing what just happened to Nkunku, I just have a feeling we are one of the most cursed clubs in football. It doesn't matter who we sign, how we sign them, when we sign them, they get injured. So Neymar, one of the most injury-prone players in football, is going to come to Chelsea. He's going to magically be able to stay fit. I don't see it happening. I think, knowing our luck, we would sign Neymar, and he would get injured signing the contract. He would be
injured in the physical.
He injured in the physical. You know what I mean? Like, this is the luck that we have, and I just don't want to see us pull out that money for Neymar, and then eventually, okay, well, after one training session, he's out for 12 weeks, and then we're basically back to square one. We're back to playing the 18-year-old kid that we just signed from Brazil. You know what I mean? If we're going to spend that amount of money on a player, I'd like to get somebody who I could actually trust and believe in. Obviously, if we could get the guarantee that Neymar is going to be fit for the majority of the matches, of course I want to sign Neymar. Of course you sign Neymar. We're talking about one of the best players in the world on his day. But I just don't have those guarantees, and I just don't want to have another injury-prone player at the club because when you see your player get injured, like when I saw the Nkunku news that he was out for 12 weeks, I fell to my knees. I was like, bro, like I can't catch a break, fam. He's out until
It's
like
like,
December or
yeah,
whatever, man.
yeah, he's not. He might. Yeah, he might not even play in December.
He might not even play. So it's just like it's a different type of pain. And if we actually get Neymar, I would be excited. I would convince myself somehow he's not going to get injured, and then he
He's
would get
not gonna get
injured,
hurt. Yeah.
and then boom, there you go. I
Especially
would.
with the physicality in the Premier League, it's just
That's another thing.
as much as the people like want to see it, it's not for Neymar. It's not
The way Neymar plays,
It's
he would get beat up in the Premier League. It's just the reality of
yeah.
it. I mean, like the Premier League, it's one of those things people always question: would Messi be able to handle the physicality of the Premier League? Ultimately, we saw in the Champions League he was always able to get the better of majority of Premier League clubs. But the thing is with Neymar, the way he plays, the style that he has,
He invites too much of it.
He invites so much of it as to where that's why he gets injured so much. It's his style. That's why he gets injured. I mean, he gets a lot of tackles on the ankle. That's why he has so many ankle injuries, so many ankle problems, so many leg problems in general. That's the thing with Neymar. And I just think, look, he's what is he, 31, 32 now? He's getting to that age to where, it gets a little bit more easy to get injured when you get a little bit older. So if he goes to the Premier League now, I think when he's out on the pitch, he would be brilliant. But I think ultimately he would be off the pitch more than he's on the pitch. And that's not what I want to see. It's not what I want to see. I don't want to see Chelsea shell out the amount of money we'd have to shell out in order to make it happen just to see a player, over here doing more social media, videos than actually be on the pitch. I think that's what Neymar would be doing. So, when you look at it like that, I think really the only two options are MLS and Saudi. And I think I genuinely could see Saudi doing it. It just comes down to honestly what Neymar wants.
What Neymar wants, yeah.
He's gonna have a decision between pretty much I can go to Saudi and I can go to MLS. Which one do I actually want? If I was in his shoes, I would pick MLS because I'd rather live in America than Saudi. But I mean, at the end of the day, it depends on the
bias there.
It's a little bias. I'm not gonna lie, but it depends on a lot of factors, and I just don't really know what Neymar would pick. I mean, you met Neymar's dad. You might have a little bit.
But yeah, that is a funny story. I met him in El Clasico 2017, his last game for Barca. I saw his dad in a hotel.
He kind of told you he was going to PSG.
Thinking of that time of like kind of how Neymar thinks, I think obviously Saudi's going to offer him more money, so I think he just goes where the money's at. Because realistically, that's why he left Barca. I mean, that was part of the reason. The amount of money PSG was paying him, man. That the whole idea of that, you're going to be the guy here.
You're out of Messi's shadow.
Yeah, you're out of Messi's shadow. And if he goes to Saudi, he's going to be the second biggest player in that league. Obviously, you're going to be behind Ronaldo, but he's better than Ronaldo. So it's kind of like at this age, he'd
be the best player in Saudi,
and he'd be on the best team in Saudi. So it's like, I think he'd be okay with that, and especially with the money they're offering. I mean, they were willing to offer Kylian Mbappe $1 billion. So he's like, I don't need $1 billion, but like, give me something. You got a little piece of the pie there. So I think it makes the most sense for Neymar.
Yeah, but I also agree with what you were saying that as a football fan, I would love to see Neymar stay in Europe for any club. It doesn't have to be Chelsea or Barcelona in particular. I'd love to see him go to either of those two clubs. Barcelona because of the fact it would be the reunion. He goes back to the club. And also Chelsea because it's my club. It would be brilliant to see that as well. But truthfully, seeing Neymar stay in Europe, that would be the ideal scenario because I want to see Neymar compete at the highest level. I don't want to see him go to MLS. I don't want to see him go to Saudi. I want to be able to turn on my TV on Saturday mornings and watch Neymar play at one of the top leagues. That's what I want to be able to see. I want to see him play in the Champions League. I want to see him play for one of the biggest clubs in the world because that's how good he is. And ultimately, if he stays at PSG, he might end up being more injured than, he's on the pitch anyway. But the point is, I want to see him at one of these top clubs, whether it's in the Serie A, Ligue 1 still with PSG, Premier League, anywhere, Bayern Munich, anywhere. That's where I want to see a player of Neymar's quality. I don't want to have to, watch, New York City FC play more consistently so that I can watch Neymar. I don't really want to do that. I mean, it would be interesting to see Inter Miami versus, whoever,
New York,
you know what I mean? But look, if I could get the guarantee that Neymar would go to Inter Miami in MLS, then I would say I will be there no matter what. I got my boy back.
Well, then Jesus Christ, that's just fucking, the Golden State Warriors of fucking MLS there. Jesus.
But ultimately that's impossible. It's not going to happen.
It's impossible. But like contrary to what people may believe, how much I hate Barca, I would kind of like seeing Neymar back at Barca. I think it's a fun because I like storylines. I mean, as a football fan, it's a good story. The same way that like we talked about it, I would be okay. I kind of wanted Messi to go back to Barca because it's a cool story. But it's also funny to laugh at Barca's stupid situations because this is their fault. I mean, if Barca were financially ran correctly, they could have easily just gotten Neymar and Messi back.
Yeah,
that's not completely out of the realm of possibility if they were just run properly. But they're run like shit. Laporta is a fat bastard who just eats burgers, so I'm just gonna laugh at them. But I like the storylines. I'm a football fan. I like to see this shit.
Well,
But
yeah.
it's just how it is. I think he's just gonna choose more of the realistic option. I'm a realist at the end of the day, so I just think that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because I saw the tweet. I think it was maybe a couple days ago or yesterday, where it was Florentino Perez was talking about Real Madrid's financial state, basically saying that they don't have to sell anybody to bring in a player like Mbappe,
Nobody.
and that's how a club should be ran right now. I mean, if Barcelona were ran like Real Madrid and they had a similar financial situation, they would have been able to bring back Lionel Messi and bring back Neymar, and I would be sitting here saying that Barcelona is the favorite to win the Champions League.
Dude,
If
they
they
have
were
those
able
two
to do
players.
that,
I mean,
they bring those.
Jesus.
Like they were talking about a title-winning side, and then you add Lionel Messi, still the best player in the world at his age right now, and then Neymar back on top of that title-winning side with the best defense in the world last season. We're talking about a team led by Xavi that I would be saying, despite their failures in the Europa League last season, this team is my favorite to winning the Champions League
I mean,
next season.
that front three would have been Lewandowski, Messi, and Neymar. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, look, and
I
to
mean,
be
come
fair,
on.
that's pretty good. But yeah, like you said, not to always bring Perez as much as Perez is, some type of, what is he, like the emperor of football here, like the fucking big bad guy. He's run Real Madrid so perfectly that they're able to spend and go get Jude Bellingham, and now we can. Like I can't, it's weird to say it out loud. You can get Jude Bellingham and Mbappe in the same transfer window. Like, how is that even possible?
Not even a report or a worry of FFP.
Yeah,
No
not even a worry. And just for the pure fact that, like you said, like because a lot of people say, oh, they would have to sell either. I remember the reports Tchouaméni or Valverde to fund Mbappe. No, we didn't. I mean,
No.
I just saw those reports. I was like, no, we don't.
Yeah.
It's just we don't have to do that, and we don't fucking want to because they're so good. But that's just the levels of it. And any chance I get to laugh at Barca, I'm going to laugh at them. But I mean, I'm not gonna act like I wouldn't have liked to see it. It's a cool thing to see.
Yeah. Well, and I think it would be good for La Liga right now because this is the whole other can of worms.
Oh,
But
yeah,
La Liga
La
as a
Liga.
league right now
Fucking
seems to be
hell.
declining, and
Not looking
bringing
good.
Messi back to La Liga, bringing Neymar back to La Liga, that would at least get the steps in the right direction of fixing it all. Ultimately, like I said, the conversation for another day. But La Liga is not going to go back to the heights that they were at one point until Javier Tebas leaves his presidency. But that's not going to happen for a while, I think. So that's a whole other conversation for another day. But like we kind of said here, this is completely unconfirmed as of right now. I mean, we saw the report that El Equipe, but then Neymar's dad came out and said El Equipe more like El Ifeke. There's El Ifeke. They're making fake news, and then Fabrizio says that Neymar has not explicitly asked PSG to sell him, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. He worded that very specifically by saying he might have hinted at it, he might have done it behind closed doors, but he didn't knock on the president Nasser Al Khalifi's door and say, "Sell me."
So let me go, blood.
But I think that's ultimately the direction that we're going in. So I think it was fair enough assessment to go ahead and make the video. So you're gonna have to let us know in the comments down below. What do you think about this kind of rumor? Do you think it's gonna happen or not? Do you see Neymar staying at PSG, or do you see Neymar leaving and going to one of the clubs we mentioned, or maybe someone we didn't mention? Let us know in the comments down below. What destination, if Neymar does leave, do you think is the most likely? That's what I want to know. Let me know in the comments down below. But I think without further ado, we can go ahead and wrap this one up and get out of here.
Let's get out of here.
So I'm Zach.
I'm G.
And we will see you next time for another video on the channel. Peace.